माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे जय विष्णुपाद परम सप्रिव्राज आचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री चरणानंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परम सप्रिव्राज आचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण प्रभु कबीर श्याम राधा गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर नवदी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। नर्मदा माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the Supreme Devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Supreme Devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Swami Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadatu Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadagamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Guru Shaguru Jatam Sarvayam Tutsivam Sadvaitam Savadvitam Parijana Setum Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shada Krishna Padan Siddhanta Shusha Vishakhan Vitamas Chanamam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Vishnu Tikasa Swami Vidana Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Vishnu Vedanta Swami Vidanta Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravan Pacharya Shri Shri Srimati Bhashya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gauravatanda Om Namo Bhagavate Narsimhaya Namaste Teja Se Avir Avir Bhava Vajra Nakha Vajra Damshtra Karmashe Randhaya Randhaya Tamo Grusa Grusa Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhushta Om Shraum Yadidasi Sime Kaman Varam Stam Vadadarshama कामानां हृदय संरोहं भवतस्तु विनयवम् एवं जन्म निपतितं प्रवाहि कूपे कामाभिकाममनुय प्रतपं प्रपदं प्रसंगात् कृत्वात्मसात् सुरर्षिण भगवन् ग्रीत सोहम घृतं सुचेत विभृत्य सेवा Hare Krishna devotees, once again welcome everybody for the yet another session of the online reading of the book Brahmacharya and Krishna Consciousness. Written by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj and published by Bhakti Vikas Trust, dedicated to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So today, we are reading from page number 36, Sadhana. Just give me 1 second. Hare Krishna. Sorry. So, continuing to read from page number 36, Brahmacharya and Krishna Consciousness, Sadhana. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Good sadhana is the basis of steady advancement in Krishna consciousness. Brahmachari life is traditionally centered around sadhana, chanting mantras, studying the scriptures, and worship. Srila Prabhupada gave us a standard morning program of Mangalarti, Tulsi Arti, deity greeting, Guru Puja, and Srimad Bhagavatam class, and an evening program of Tulsi Arti, Sandhya Arti, and Bhagavad Gita class, plus, of course, chanting at least 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If we strictly follow this schedule with faith and enthusiasm, we'll always remain enlivened in Krishna consciousness. So, devotees should get off the mental platform and get right into the program. Don't just stand around in Kirtan, dance nicely for the pleasure of the Lord. Don't slur 16 rounds, pray to the holy name. Tune into class with mind and ears open. There is so much nectar in hearing and chanting about Krishna that Krishna himself comes as Lord Chaitanya to release that rasa. But we have to apply ourselves to become eligible to get that rasa taste. We have to actually take that one step, then Krishna will take his 100 towards us. Good sadhana means to attend the whole morning program every single day without fail, rising by 4 a.m. At the least, being present at every function, Guru Puja, class, etc. From the beginning to the end, not wandering in late or wandering out early. To chant all or most of one's prescribed rounds during the morning program and to be enthusiastic and attentive throughout. A good morning program gives us spiritual strength to carry out our Krishna conscious duties throughout the day. Devotees who are conscientious about the morning program gradually develop strength and depth in Krishna consciousness. But those who, for whatever reason, decrease their inclination towards early morning hearing and chanting gradually become weakened and susceptible to Maya's attack. Certainly, those not committed to rise early and strong sadhana contain remain as brahmacharis, not should persons be allowed to live in the brahmachari ashram. Srila Prabhupada also wanted devotees to attend the evening program or to utilize the evening hours for preaching engagements. Some adjustments may be necessary for pujaris, cooks, and traveling preachers, but we must be careful not to become lax in or get insufficient hearing and chanting. If we are obliged to miss a part of morning or evening sadhana programs, we must set some time aside to another time of the day to make up. Best for cooks and pujaris to rise very early and chant japa before Mangalarti. If devotees feel weak in Krishna consciousness with decreased enthusiasm for devotional service and increase in material desires, the root cause is usually poor hearing and chanting. How to get the enthusiasm back? Just by acting enthusiastically. Enthusiasm comes. Just try jumping in the kirtan, even mechanically, and see if you can stay morose. Srila Prabhupada. Dance, even if there is no ecstasy, dance and it will come. Reading and attentive japa are extremely important. Japa should be chanted clearly and properly heard. And brahmacharis must find time to read. Bhagavad Gita 16.1 states that Swadhyaya, study of scriptures, are especially meant for brahmacharis, and therefore brahmacharis should assiduously study Prabhupada's books, Srila Prabhupada's books, and other authorized Krishna conscious literature. and avoid reading useless Karmi or Mayavadi rubbish. Reading Srila Prabhupada's books helps attach us to Krishna and free us from Maya. Maya is always trying to take away our enthusiasm and often attacks devotees in the form of doubt. Doubt is a disease which can culminate in spiritual death. Many devotees, especially new devotees, despite going on with the Krishna conscious process, are not fully convinced of what they are doing. For them, Krishna recommends the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed with the weapon of knowledge. Hearing Krishna Katha is Bhavaushadi, the medicine of the disease of material life. Without reading Srila Prabhupada's books, how will we maintain the firm conviction needed to voluntarily take up the austerities necessary for self realization? All the devotees connected with the Krishna consciousness movement must read all the books that have been translated. Otherwise, they will simply eat, sleep, and fall down from their position. Thus, they will miss the opportunity to attain an eternal blissful life of transcendental pleasure. Srila Prabhupada recommended that those who want to be Goswamis, masters of the senses, should carefully read the nectar of instruction. Therefore, brahmachari can obviously benefit from the advice given therein. About japa, Srila Prabhupada has written, of all the regulative principles, the spiritual master's order to chant at least 16 rounds is most essential. Satsarup Das Goswami has compiled a japa reform notebook and a reading reform notebook to help devotees develop good japa and reading habits. Regulation. Regulation means to do the same thing at the same time every day, or if not at exactly the same time, at least in a fixed sequence based around an approximate schedule. For instance, a devotee may be regulated to rise by 3:30 a.m., bathe and chant a few rounds before Mangalarti, to eat his main meal at midday, and so on. Such regulation helps to fix the determination and to get off the mental platform. A devotee with a fixed time to rise does not think, I am too tired or it is too cold. He just gets up. He does not have to think what to do next. He just sticks to his schedule. Regulation helps to keep the mind peaceful and makes for the most efficient use of time. Without regulation, life tends to become chaotic. Most importantly, regulation is the basis of steady sadhana. Without regulation, proper sadhana is impossible. For physical health also, it is good to sleep and rise, eat, evacuate, and shower at fixed times every day. In our temples, devotional programs and prasad timings are fixed. So if we simply follow the temple programs and take prasad with the devotees, that much we will automatically be regulated. It is more difficult to be regulated when traveling, but it is possible. Srila Prabhupada followed a regulated schedule despite constant travel engagement. A pure devotee of Krishna is satisfied to do any service for Krishna, however menial it may appear to be. The brahmachari is trained like that to do whatever is asked to him. Even if he is highly qualified, a brahmachari is always ready and willing to do the needful in Krishna's service, including all kinds of humble services. The ideal brahmachari performs all kinds of services quickly, efficient, and cheerfully. In traditional Gurukula system, young children are strictly disciplined. As they grow older, the Guru engages them according to the propensities he has observed in them. Similarly, when a young man joins ISKCON, ideally he will take up any service he is asked to do. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would have new men wash pots, even if they were highly educated, just to test their sincerity. But after some time, if he is not suitably engaged according to his psychophysical propensities, he may become dissatisfied. Indeed, if a brahmachari is not absorbed in a devotional engagement, he will soon end up with another engagement that is, will keep him fully busy for many years, namely a marriage engagement. Begging for the guru is begging for the guru is a traditional duty of brahmacharis. A brahmachari is trained up from the very beginning how to become a sannyasi at the end of life. He is trained to take up. He is trained up by collecting alms for the guru. Fundraising for temple projects and maintenance is not the same as the traditional brahmachari begging, and some devotees opine that brahmachari should not be engaged thus. However, Srila Prabhupada personally engaged brahmacharis in collecting large sums of money. By begging alms, a brahmachari learns humility. By offering all he collects to the Guru, he, for, he fortifies the mood of slavery to the spiritual master. He practices sacrifice and detachment and practically applies the maximum that nothing belongs to me. Although traditional style begging is not always practical in modern world, the ISKCON brahmacharis alms collecting has been dovetailed with preaching through the most ingenious transcendental plan ever devised: book distribution. By book distribution, the spiritual master, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna, and the whole parampara are satisfied. The karmis are benedicted, the book distributor is blessed, the Krishna conscious movement expands, Lakshmi is liberated for Krishna's service. Book distribution is the ideal service for a brahmachari. Once it was suggested that a leading brahmachari book distributor be awarded sannyas. Srila Prabhupada replied that it is not necessary, because he is doing more than any sannyasi by personally distributing hundreds of books day after day and inspiring others to follow. Book distribution is definitely excellent training. One remains detached from material life by constantly seeing the temporary miserable nature of the material world, while at the same time developing his faith in Krishna consciousness by daily witnessing the extraordinary mercy of Lord Chaitanya upon the fallen conditioned souls, and by having it to defeat opposing arguments and convince others to take up spiritual life. One becomes a capable preacher. Indudimnya Swami. To go on Sankirtan party is a great fortune for the brahmachari. It is an intense, one-pointed mission to carry out as many of Srila Prabhupada's books as possible to the conditioned souls, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Such highly surrendered Sankirtan soldiers become powerful in austerity and concentration and develop a solid, fixed up foundation in Krishna consciousness. It is recommended that new devotees in Krishna consciousness spread at least their first 2 or 4 years in the moment engaged in Sankirtan, especially traveling Sankirtan. Whatever they may do after that, their standing in Krishna consciousness will have been fixed, and it will help them to go on remembering Krishna throughout their lives. However, not every brahmachari will go daily for book distribution. Some devotees just won't be able to adjust to it, but it is not a disqualification. There are plenty of other services that devotees can happily be engaged in. For instance, Srila Prabhupada wrote, Brahmana brahmacharis are very nice for deity worship. But if brahmacharis can preach, that's best. Preaching gives us taste and realization in Krishna consciousness, which brahmacharis especially need to maintain the high level of renunciation which their ashram requires. Ultimately, every service is preaching, because the whole Krishna consciousness movement is meant for preaching. But book distribution, Harinam Sankirtan, college programs, and so on bring us directly into contact with non-devotees, giving them Krishna consciousness. This enables us to directly experience the shower of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. No one should get a superiority complex, however, for pride comes before a fall. It is not necessarily true that a brahmachari out distributing books is more advanced than another staying back cleaning the floor. In absolute sense, all services are equal. Krishna accepts the service attitude of the devotee, not exactly the service externally performed. Brahmacharis are engaged in service by the Guru or his representative. A sensitive Guru or temple president will deal personally with Brahmachari under his command, understanding that all are on different levels of advancement and surrender. Junior devotees especially need encouragement and guidance. Ours is a pushing movement, so pressure must be there. But the best leaders inspire enthusiasm in their followers. Force will not stand. It is better to command respect than to demand it. As much as possible, brahmachari should be engaged so as to have a little dealings with women as possible. Outside of India, service in temple management brings brahmacharis in contact with women in such a way that their brahmachari principles are almost always compromised. Similarly, business is not at all suitable engagement for brahmacharis. Wheeling and dealing breeds the profit or loss mentality and makes for materialistic dealings with non-devotees and women. Devotees who get into money making too often end up selling their souls. If anyone has to do business, let the grosthas do it. Ultimately, whatever engagement we are awarded, we can be happy to get the chance to do something for Krishna. Devotional service is, after all, a privilege. It's not that we have anything wonderful to offer to Krishna, but one way or other, we have to keep busy in Krishna's service. For an ideal mind is devil's workshop. There is always something to do. If not a devotee, if not, if a devotee should find something to do, he can help another devotee read, chant, learn a shloka or whatever. Devotees, do not be dull. Keep busy. Be alert. Be alive. Be Krishna conscious. Keeping busy with mind, body, and words in Krishna's service is the sure way to keep out of Maya. With that very note, I will conclude and I will request some other devotees to read. Shivakumar Rajendran. Shivkumarji, are you there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I'll continue, Prabhu.
Your voice is very low, Prabhu. Kindly keep the mic little bit in your near your mouth.
Okay, Prabhu. Is it better now?
Yes, better, Prabhu. Continue the same tempo, and you can read. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu. Preaching. Attack is the best means of defense, and the most effective weapon against Maya is the preaching of Krishna consciousness. By preaching, we not only strike against the Maya all around, but also cleanse our hearts of the Maya within. If one is not interested in preaching, talking constantly to non devotees, the influence of the modes of nature is very difficult to surpass. Srila Prabhupada, for those who engage in the preaching of these two Vedic literatures, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, it is very easy to get out of the illusory conditioned life imposed on us by Maya. So, brahmacharis get into the preaching mode. Preach to the karmis, preach to the devotees, preach to yourself, preach to the walls. If we always think of how to spread this Krishna consciousness movement, Lord Chaitanya will surely protect us. Srila Prabhupada, this Krishna consciousness movement means preaching. Without preaching, one can have no taste. And without taste, you won't be able to go on with this. Hari, Hari Bol. If you don't preach in a few years after I leave, there will be no more Hare Krishna movement because no one is preaching in the churches, they are closing up. So, why don't you get serious about this preaching work? Practically speaking, my Guru Maharaj has invented this movement for that purpose. My ambition is that you make a revolution against this godless society. That is my mission. That is why I continue on even at this advanced age. We want to guide everyone. So you have to know my books. Read and preach. Both things must be there. Then you will have potency. Preaching means fighting. Traveling. Traveling and preaching is the association of brahmacharis and sannyasis is a wonderful life. Detachment, dependence on Krishna, simple living and high thinking, self reliance, transcendental adventure, variety, gaining of experience, fun. It's all included in the package. A rolling stone gathers no mass. There is no question of developing relationships with women for a man on the move. A traveling Sankirtana brahmachari will not even know the names of the brahmacharinis in the temple, let alone what they look like. He won't be accumulating possessions either. How much can you keep in a nylon kit bag? Srila Prabhupada, brahmacharis and sannyasis are meant for moving. For spiritually inclined persons, traveling is very good. You will be more popular and there will be no difficulty. The mind will be steady. Health. The highest goal of life can be achieved as long as one's body is stout and strong. We should therefore live in such a way that we keep ourselves always healthy and strong in mind and intelligence so that we can distinguish the goal of life from a life full of problems. Brahmacharya is itself the best tonic for health. As Dhanvantri told his disciples, Brahmacharya is truly a precious gem. It is the most effective medicine. It is nectar that destroys diseases, decay, and death. For attaining peace, luster, memory, knowledge, health, and self realization, one should observe Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is the highest dharma, the highest knowledge, the greatest strength. Therefore, a brahmachari should not have any complaint of bodily disease. Health has become a special problem for the present generation. However, brought up as we are in junk food, ignorance, and self destructive indulgence. However, brought up as we were in junk food ignorance and self destructive indulgence. Some devotees respond to their health problems by neglect, hardly caring for the condition of their bodies. But this is akin to the Mayavadi attitude that I am not this body and I have nothing to do with it. The Vaishnava thinks this body is not mine, it belongs to Krishna and I have to serve Krishna with it. It must be kept fit enough to serve Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was concerned that his disciples maintain good health and would often give detailed advice on diet and medication. He would sign off his letters, hoping this meets you in good health, because this body is meant for serving Krishna. Therefore, for the Vaishnava, the protection of the body for the service of the Lord is a part of devotional service. As servants of Krishna, we must see to our health without falling into the trap of becoming overly preoccupied with the physical at the expense of proper spiritual culture and development. A balanced approach is needed. Devotees should have a basic knowledge of practical health care, should live and eat sensibly, taking regular temple prasada at scheduled times, and should go on with devotional service, making whatever adjustments are necessary to maintain proper health. They should avoid being influenced by health food fads, unnecessary special diets, or speculative karmi infatuations with health. Srila Prabhupada. A devotee should accept only those things that are favorable to keep his body and soul together and should reject those things that increase the demands of the body. Only the bare necessities for bodily maintenance should be accepted. By minimizing bodily necessities, one can primarily devote his time to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness through the chanting of the holy names of God. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. He who is temperate in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Eating. According to Srila Prabhupada, sickness is usually caused by overeating, uncleanness, and or anxiety. Excess eating is the root cause of dozens of diseases. It also leads to excess sleeping, which is another obstacle to progressive devotional life. Overeating can refer to quality as well as quantity, for to regularly ingest rich foods is not good for health, what to speak of being unsuitable for brahmacharis. Disturbances from various diseases can be avoided by regulated diets. Srila Prabhupada discusses the importance of controlling the tongue in brahmacharya as follows. In the Bhakti Marga, the path of devotional service, one must strictly follow the regulative principles by first controlling the tongue. Sevon mukhehi jihvadau swayam eva spuratyadaha. The tongue, jihva, can be controlled if one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, does not speak of any subjects other than those concerning Krishna, and does not taste anything not offered to Krishna. If one can control the tongue in this way, Brahmacharya and other purifying processes will automatically follow. Traditionally, brahmacharis are meant to be austere, especially in eating. Eating too much or eating rich or heavy foods, that is, foods with a high percentage of protein, butterfat, oil, or sugar, including honey, dried fruits and nuts, and very spicy food, make the senses strong and difficult to control. Everyone can practically experience this. Therefore, such foods should be taken in small quantities only. Srila Prabhupada. Devotees should eat as simply as possible. Otherwise, attachment for material things will gradually increase, and the senses, being very strong, will soon require more and more material enjoyment. Then, the real business of life, to advance in Krishna consciousness, will stop. Especially for a devotee, too much eating is very, very bad. Milk is an important food for devotees. Milk means cow's milk. Milk nourishes the brain tissues which help one to understand spiritual knowledge. One should take ample milk, and thus one can prolong one's life, develop his brain, execute devotional service, and ultimately gain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have to take we have to make our brain very clean, and for that we require to drink not very much, 1 pound or half a pound of milk daily. That is essential. Milk should be drunk very hot and slightly sweetened so as to be easily digested and beneficial to the brain. Taking too much milk is not good though. When Srila Prabhupada was told that some devotees drank lots of milk with the intention of increasing their brain power, Srila Prabhupada said that drinking excess milk is Rajasika. The eating program should be nutritious and simple, not luxurious. That means chapatis, dal, vegetables, some butter, some fruits, and milk. This is necessary for keeping good health. But we should not indulge in sweet balls or halwa or like that daily. Too much first class eating may stimulate our sex desires, especially sweet preparations. Anyway, eat Krishna Prasada, but be careful that we may not indulge in luxury. For Krishna, we can offer the most beautiful preparations, but for us, prasada should be very simple. Eating should be minimized. Too much eating leads to too much sleeping and then sex desire. Some devotees lament their inability to control the tongue while taking prasada, but there is no reason for disappointment. By following the vow of taking only Krishna prasada, the tongue is already controlled in as much as it is restrained from all nonsense foods. And if we simply continue patiently with our devotional service, the tendency to overeat will automatically be overcome in course of time. Krishna will help us. Overeating of prasada is not always a great vice anyway. After all, Krishna consciousness is the kitchen religion. As brahmacharis, We must try to control, but as devotees, we know that it's better to take 10 times too much prasada rather than eat just the right amount of bhoga. Sometimes, in a festive mood, devotees even encourage each other to eat more and more. Even Lord Chaitanya was doing that.
धन्यवाद.
In devotional service, there is both austerity and festivity, and knowing when and how to apply them without being caught in niyamagraha is an art to be learned by devotees. Once in South India, Srila Prabhupada was going to take prasada in a life member's home. But Pradyumna, Srila Prabhupada's Sanskrit assistant, refused to eat on the plea of fasting. Srila Prabhupada said that his fasting was whimsical. Our gurus, the six Goswamis of Vrindavana, ate next to nothing. They were so absorbed in serving Radha Krishna that they practically forgot to eat or sleep. There is no question of our imitating these great acharyas. We simply have to follow in their footsteps by faithfully executing devotional service according to their instructions. For more on eating and diet, see the section on retention of semen.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Ankit Goyal, are you there? Ankit ji, Ankit Goyal. I think he's out. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. No, he's not seen. Okay. Aditya Vivek Bharat. Okay, that's Hare Krishna Vivek.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Is it audible, Prabhu?
Yes, it is audible.
Okay. Shall I continue?
Yes.
Yeah. Sleeping. Sleeping is a condition of the mode of ignorance. Therefore, devotees try to minimize it as far as possible. One should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 is certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance. A Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. By spiritual culture, one is able to conquer sleep. Some devotees may be able to get by on 5 hours of sleep a day or less. Some need 6 hours or more. Regulation, rising and resting at fixed times helps to control sleep. Generally, one should sleep no more than 6 hours at a stretch. Daytime sleeping is traditionally not allowed for brahmacharis and should be minimized as much as possible. Raising before 4 am is a must, Srila Prabhupada insisted. Napping during the morning program should be avoided as much as possible. For that, for that is when we need to be widest awake to observe transcendental sound. Splashing the face with cold water is advised for devotees who feel sleepy during the morning program. To want to work hard, putting in long hours in Krishna's service is good. But remember, 18 wide awake hours are better than 20 hours half awake. Drivers especially note, don't drive if tired. Those who find themselves regularly struggling through the morning program should probably arrange to take rest earlier at night, or if that is not possible, to take a little rest in the day. Sleeping in a secluded place is not good. especially for neophyte devotees. Like eating alone, the tendency is to take it as sense gratification and overdo it. Before and after sleeping, offer obeisances to your spiritual master, remembering that the purpose of the rest is only to recuperate energy for serving him. And on rising, remember to roll up your bedding and put it away tidily.
Tidily.
tidily. It is best for brahmacharis to sleep on a thin mat, not a mattress. In India, grass sleeping mats are available, and in the West, synthetic rubber or foam. The latter also help to keep out the cold from the floor. In India, in winter, a mattress may be required to serve the same purpose. Those who suffer from bodily pain may also require a mattress. Mattresses should be thin. Thick luxury mattresses are not meant for brahmacharis. More on sleeping in the section Retention of Semen. Exercise. Srila Prabhupada was not much in favor of exercise, but he was not wholly against it either. He said that swimming, wrestling, and push ups are suitable forms of exercise for brahmacharis. So, if devotees feel the need for a few minutes of exercise daily, there should be no objection. One's need for exercise varies greatly in the terms of age, health, and proclivity. But in general, if devotees are physically active, they should not need an elaborate exercise program. Dancing in kirtana and walking while chanting japa automatically exercise the body even without thinking about it. Devotees are advised to exercise moderately, otherwise, bodily consciousness will increase. Listening to Srila Prabhupada bhajana or lecture cassette while exercising will help keep us on the Krishna conscious platform as opposed to the bodily platform. Heavy exercise at night is not recommended as it increases the heat and activity of the body at a time when it should be winding down.
Yes,
Physics.
Yes, Prabhuji. I'll request some other devotee to read.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Because
Hare
many
Krishna.
devotees are there to read. So,
Yeah.
thank you. Bharat Akerkar. Bharat ji, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Bharat ji. I've given access to your mic, so you can. There is a message which would have popped up on your screen, so you have to take it. Yes. He is not there. I don't know. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, Aditya ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Shall I start reading Prabhu?
Yes.
Physics. Srila Prabhupada once remarked that a devotee named Rishikumara had the ideal physique from a brahmachari. He was of medium build, with a little soft fat, not pudgy, not skinny, and not muscular. Of course, we can't change our basic bodily structure, but to become fat is especially bad for devotees. Yet also, to become thin and starved like the yogis is not our process. Srila Prabhupada would become concerned if he saw that any of his disciples were underweight and would insist that they eat sufficiently. And brahmacharis definitely should not endeavor to develop a muscular torso. Anyone who wants to imitate Mr. Universe is obviously highly illusioned by the bodily concept of life and is a long way from even beginning to understand the first instruction of Bhagavad Gita, you are not that body. Similarly, sunbathing to get a nice tan or any such activity for making the body attractive is simply Maya. Cleanliness. Cleanliness is an elaborate part of Vedic culture. External purity is a prerequisite for developing internal purity. If we can't even keep our bodies and surroundings clean, then how can we hope to remove the dirt encrusted on our hearts since time immemorial? Cleanliness is next to godliness. Srila Prabhupada. If you're not clean, Krishna will remain 1,000 miles away. Srila Prabhupada wanted revolutionary cleanliness. Cleanliness is sattvika and healthy. Uncleanliness, sorry, bro. Uncleanness is tamasika and intolerable. Vedic culture requires that brahmacharis be clean. Indeed, one of the symptoms of degradation in Kali Yuga predicted in Srimad Bhagavatam is that brahmacharis will be unclean. Let's not be that kind of brahmachari. External cleanliness necessitates taking full bath 3 times daily, morning, noon, and evening, or at least twice a day, or absolute minimum once on rising. It is not necessary to use soap every time, as water alone is purifying. Bathing is compulsory after passing stool. While bathing, quickly clean under the skin flap on the penis so that scum cannot accumulate there. Once used, a towel or gamcha, a light bathing cloth commonly used in India, is contaminated and should be washed. To dry off with an unclean towel is like the elephant's bathing. One simply becomes contaminated again. Gamchas dry quicker than towels and are therefore practical for devotees. To wash a gamcha with soap after each shower is not necessary. A thorough rinse in clean water will do, but do wash it with soap regularly and certainly don't let it get to the point of smelling bad. After urinating, wash traces of urine off the penis with water from a lota, as Srila Prabhupada always did. Then wash the hands with soap, Srila Prabhupada said, and rinse the feet. Wash the hands after touching anything impure, such as the mouth, nostrils, feet, or any dirty thing. Teeth, ears, and nails need to be kept clean. The tongue scraped daily, nails trimmed, and face and head regularly shaved. Hair is produced from the body's waste matter and thus resembles stool. Regular shaving not only helps us look clean but also helps us to feel clean and clear headed. Clothes, bead bags. Srila Prabhupada said to keep two. Sacred thread, shoes, the brahmachari ashrama, vehicles, everything must be kept neat and clean. A lot can be understood about a person by observing how clean and tidy he is. Srila Prabhupada was always clean, a spotless transcendental aristocrat. Of course, external cleanliness without internal cleanliness is useless. For internal cleanliness, chant Hare Krishna and don't think of sex. Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. One
Retention.
second. One second. Oh, this is a very big topic and it can be covered. Oh. It's a very big topic. Okay. Yes. You can continue, Prabhu.
Retention of semen. Retention of semen is so essential in progressive human life that it is simply astounding how the whole endeavor of modern civilization is based on discharging it as much as possible. Semen retained in the body goes upwards to nourish the brain, rendering the body robust and the memory and intellect sharp. Determination, optimism, confidence, willpower, fixed intelligence, noble character, photographic memory, and shining good health are all fruits of conserved semen. It is said that the four Kumaras were unwilling to adopt materialistic activities because they were highly elevated due to their semens flowing upwards. Urdhva Retasha. Scientists have analyzed semen to be amazingly rich in hormones, proteins, vitamins, minerals, ions, enzymes, trace elements, and other vital substances. By nature's arrangement, this substance, when mixed with the ovum, is sufficient for the procreation of a new body. By nature's arrangement also, if it is not used for procreation but is kept within, it nourishes the body and brain in a way impossible for any tonic or dietary aid to emulate. The current craze for vitamin and mineral supplements is an attempt to make up for self imposed deficiencies. Most people don't know that they are passing out their very life energy with that essential bodily fluid. If semen is lost, all bodily and sensory functions are weakened. Repeated loss of semen spoils the determination and clear sattvika intelligence necessary for spiritual understanding. However, if semen is retained in the body, there develops what Ayurveda refers to as ojas, a vital fluid that gives strength, luster, enhanced mental abilities, and immunity to diseases and slows the aging process. Scientists cannot prove or disprove this, but it is observable in the brightness of yogis and the dullness of those who regularly spill their brains out. Retention of semen then is ultimately meant for the evolution of the human being to higher levels of spiritual consciousness. Simply by retaining semen in the body, one develops a tendency toward greatness. On the other hand, those who are addicted to discharging semen become petty and bestially lusty. The disastrous fruit of their promiscuity awaits them. They will be forced to devolve into lower species of life. Even in this life, excessive seminal loss can lead to physical and mental weakness. As the body ages, vitality and the will to get things done ebb away, and perpetual tiredness sets in. The pills and intoxicants people take to artificially keep them bright and active further add to their physical and mental degradation. As premature old age sets in, their exhausted bodies cannot resist the dozens of diseases which proceed to ravage every cell in their organism. For such persons, the all too common senility comes as a relief. Srila Prabhupada, the more one enjoys in youth, the more he suffers in old age. Srila Prabhupada, wasting semen is also illicit sex. The faculty to discharge semen is the cause of death. Therefore, yogis and transcendentalists who want to live for greater spans of life voluntarily restrain themselves from discharging semen. The more one can restrain the discharge of semen, the more one can be aloof from the problem of death. There are many yogis living up to 300 or 700 years by this process, and in the Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated that discharging semen is the cause of horrible death. The more one is addicted to sexual enjoyment, the more susceptible he is to a quick death. Therefore, brahmacharis are trained not to squander their semen. They must resist the temporary feeling of gratification that is bought at the cost of their own life energy. Unfortunately, almost all devotees coming to Krishna consciousness never had such training, rather, the opposite. And for those who regularly discharged semen, it will be difficult to stop the downward flow. But we have to try. Srila Prabhupada. Everyone should be taught to be very careful not to discharge semen unnecessarily. This is very important for all human beings. Here are a few hints that will help. First and foremost, don't think of women. Lustful thoughts provoke activity in the sexual glands. If we think of sex, we should not be surprised if we suffer a nocturnal discharge. But even a devotee seriously striving for brahmacharya may nevertheless be tormented by sex dreams. In the waking state, he can control his mind with good intelligence, but in dreams, low desires deeply ingrained in his subconsciousness may become manifest. The real cure for this is complete purification of consciousness by devotional service. But as this may take some time, the several physical factors that affect the retention of semen may be taken into consciousness. Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Yeah, 2 minutes is there. You can continue it, and we can stop somewhere in the middle.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Or after
It
this page, maybe we can stop it somewhere here. Yeah, Ayurvedic. Yeah, you can continue with in this page.
It is important not to excessively raise the internal heat of the body. Ayurveda describes high internal heat as a condition of excessive pitta, bile, that is associated with the mode of passion, experienced as heat in the body generated by a passionate mood or by eating hot rajasika food such as that which much chili powder. Ayurveda also cautions putting downward pressure on the genitals by packing the stomach with food. Diet and eating habits, therefore, are very important. Transcendentalists should eat simply. See section on eating under health and moderately. By overeating, more energy is taken into the body that it can use, which tends to make it come out in the form of seminal discharge. And an overly filled belly exerts pressure on the genitals, causing a tendency towards seminal discharge. Avoid sleeping with a full belly. A yogi practices not eating at night. The last meal should be taken at least 2 to 3 hours before sleeping. The food should be light and easily digestible. Even hot milk should not be taken immediately before retiring, but about half an hour before. Rich, heavy, fried, spicy, and sweet foods. Sorry, yes, the sweet foods heat the body, so be cautious with them, especially at night. Sour foods such as sour or acidic fruit and yogurt and bitter foods should be avoided at night, as should sweets, cheese, and thick milk preparations. Milk that has gone even slightly sour should not be taken at night. Some vegetables contain a substance that thins the semen, making it prone to discharge. Worst among them is eggplant. The skin of eggplant is especially bad. Next verse is green chilies. Traditional Sri Vaishnavas exclude chilies, tamarind, and drumsticks, a type of vegetable, from their diet because of their sexually stimulating effect. Carrots, drumsticks, and to a lesser extent beetroot heat the semen and therefore make it prone to discharge. However, this effect is not very pronounced and brahmacharis can take these vegetables in moderate quantities. It is best to sleep no more than 6 hours at night and minimally or not at all during the day. If one cannot rise early, his so called practice of brahmacharya is simply a farce. And late nights are bad for overall health as well as for seminal retention. So, best is early to bed and early to rise. Sleeping during the Brahma Muhurta at dawn or dusk or when not really tired are also dangerous. There's a high seminal loss risk. When a person is actually tired, his sleep will be deep and disturbance from dreams will be less likely. Another good reason for devotees to minimize sleep.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
We'll stop
Hare
here
Krishna.
and we'll continue tomorrow. No matter it may be the middle of the topic. Thank you. So, thank you very much. We'll stop here. We'll meet tomorrow. Unless and until if there have any questions, one question may be accepted. They can place their question on the chat box or in the question section, so we can try to answer it. Otherwise, we can wind up over here. Any questions, please? Okay, no question. They're typing. Okay, thank you very much. I don't have any question. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhescha kripa sindhebhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Dante nidhaya trinakam patayor nipatya kritva chakakuchitam etadaham bravimi he sadhavas saklam vihaya duram Chaitanya Chandra Charane Kultanuragam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.